Different styles of learning and different stages of learning are two key concepts behind the flexibility of Squeak's design. Here Alan Kay confers with his mentor, Jerome Bruner, official advisor to Viewpoints Research.
Jerome Bruner was one of the biggest influences on me and continues to be. His ideas were seminal in changing American psychology, changing American education.
I respect a teacher who can ask interesting questions and who has the patience to watch somebody attempt to discover an answer to them. And that's what Squeak is about. We'll never know how the world really is. We always have to construct what we think the world is. We do it in describing the human situation by telling stories. We do it in science. We do it in interesting kinds of ways of thinking of new images and so forth. So my passion has basically got to do with how human minds make this sort of reality.
Maintaining contact.
Alan started being interested in how you teach kids at least 25 years ago. He didn't talk about it as publicly then because he was supposed to be in the computer business, but he's always been interested in this. He's always wanted to talk about it. This is nothing new. I know Alan. You get into a conversation and 5 minutes later you find yourself talking about how you can present something to kids.
We realized that if we were really going to tie children's deep learning, where we wanted the children to really spend hours of passionate self-investigation on stuff, then we were going to have to give these different types of children, which we did not have good, really great categorizations of even today.
Well, nobody has a good typology of children.
No, you don't.
Yeah. And kind of course, some, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they're one kind of kid. Never mind.
Yeah. So our idea was we have to make something that is that basically starts from art.
Understanding is like discovering. And it's that I just love about the way in which Alan and his Squeak project operates.
In addition to Seymour Papert and Jerry Bruner, Viewpoints Research has attracted an influential advisory board interested in the problems of worldwide education. Quincy Jones, for example.
Quincy Jones is a great big bundle of love, who also is a terrific musician, a friend, and it's a great honor that he was willing to be on our advisory board.
It always takes me 2 years to catch up with Alan because he just visits us from this other planet. He just comes down regularly, But I've known Alan almost 30 years now.
It has almost 1 billion people that are...
Here, Alan shows Quincy an animation in Squeak which demonstrates the infection rates of a slow-moving epidemic like AIDS and a fast-moving one like typhoid. Simulations like this, done in Squeak, help to make complex problems easier to understand.
Infections. So if we pretend this is a village, we're going to turn all of these guys blue except for one infected guy who's red. There he goes. Mm-hmm. And every time he touches somebody else,
he infects them.
He's infecting them.
Oh my God.
So hard to see what happened there. We can make a little graph.
That's called one bad apple, right?
And this is the characteristic curve of AIDS, because nothing happens for a while. Okay, so let's start this guy going again. And now I'm going to concentrate him like this. Now I'm going to start them again. Watch this.
That's fast.
Much faster.
Woo!
So this one is like typhoid. Okay, and so what we've got here is this problem that if this is human imagination, this little keyhole, we can see typhoid through it because it happens in a few days and it's really exciting. But when we put a human imagination on AIDS, we can't see it because it takes years to get going. So the only imagination booster we've got is science, which gives us this bigger keyhole.
So Alan, it's like that rock, man. I'm just glad that the lead is in his hands and people like him. He's a highly evolved human being. He really is. I want to be there.
Love you, man.
I love you too.
The philosophy behind Squeak is that learning math and science is essential to understanding the world of today. The goal is not to turn all kids into scientists, but to raise a generation of people able to use more than common sense to understand the world around them.
What they teach in school, I like to call math, as opposed to mathematics. Mathematics is one of the great jewels of achievement of the human mind. Math is a lot of boring stuff that you make kids do with pencils and squared papers and filling in numbers. There's no relation. While it's true that most people in math class don't learn much math, most kids in French class don't learn much French. But we don't say that they're not Frenchly minded. We don't say they don't have a head for French, because we know that if they grew up in France, they'd learn French perfectly well. And I think that my image of learning mathematics is, if we all learned mathematics in Mathland, we would all learn mathematics perfectly well. And how can we create a Mathland? That's really what it's about. I think that what we can do with the computer is allow individuals to find their own way of coming to terms with what mathematics is and seeing it in a way that matches their passion and their intellectual styles.
Alan Kay and Seymour Papert have been working for years on this very problem, a way to create a playland or natural environment for learning the important ideas of science and math. But why is this so important?
So everybody is concerned about science and math these days, according to the papers, but most kids aren't learning it. So the first question is, why should people learn science and math? I think most people think it's because it might have something to do with your job you're going to get later on. But actually, science especially was an enormous change in the way human beings look at themselves and the world. And so, to me, one of the major reasons for trying to teach children science is to change their philosophical stance on the world themselves and on knowledge. Science is like art. It's like the thing that wakes you up to show you a different perspective on important things. So it's beautiful because it does that, but it does require a taste for it. You have to develop a taste for liking things to be different than your common sense might have thought the way the world was. And you get that taste by changing that common sense early in life.
How can we help children to develop this more questioning, discerning way of looking at the world? One way, says Alan Kay, is to put powerful tools for teaching math and science in the hands of enlightened teachers.
I want my kids to understand what it's like to be in different people's shoes. And when I think about teaching math and science, I think, this is it. This is our future. This is our hope. Look what's happening in Africa. Maybe one of the kids in this class is going to have some hand in finding a cure for AIDS. I mean, it's my hope. It's our future. It's my world. I want it to be right. I want it to be right for everyone, and I'm not going to be around to see it. So I want it to be right for them, and they have to make it happen.